Hello, welcome to Actual Play, Burning Wheel into the Vault. It's kind of in the vault, under the vault, within the vault. Uh, we're no longer going into. We've been there, done that at this point. But this is our game about Polara the Pillar, aka Polara Dragonsworn, who is last time we left off, she had made peace with the trolls in the caves, and now we're jumping forward a year. So I'm excited to see what the big haul looks like. I'm Sean Nittner. I use he, him pronouns. I am always excited to play this game because it's wonderful to play with you, Jed, and Burning Wheel is fantastic. And the stories, the character, the situations that we play out are always new and exciting for me. The channel, as always, is collecting money for Black Lives Matter and the Trans Legal Defense Fund. If you sub or don't cheer or whatnot to us, that's where that will go. So we appreciate anything you need to help. I'll put some links in chat for other things you can do if you're not in a place for financial assistance. Yeah, that's me. How about you, Judd?
Hey, I'm Judd, he, him, and likewise, yeah, I enjoy this game. I'm always curious. I just never know where players can end up, so it's always scary but exciting. Less scary than Bina Janos, who I think was the protagonist of what I think of as book one in this series.
Yeah.
Just because with Bina, I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if she's an actual RPG protagonist or if Sean just made up a character who cannot actually work at the table but needs to be a novel, because I'm not sure this will be functional, but it was, and so after that, like I'm like, oh, I feel pretty good. Yeah, I'm not nervous at all.
Yeah, I feel you. There's definitely I've made in the past, playing D&D, like non-playable characters. You're like, this character doesn't have the appetite to go on the adventure. They don't have any of the
Right.
abilities. They're a novelty, and you're like, oh, they don't work. And it was great to see that a very non-traditional character was very playable.
Yeah.
So yeah, made me quite happy. Yeah, so we're making a year. A year is going by, and so I think Judd and I were talking offline, and we were thinking some things should happen. One, Bina's got a lot of practice time going on, so I made a spreadsheet because because I want to do that. How does Bina spend 18 hours a day? Of course, it's excavating and reading and brawling with trolls. And also we're talking about a trait vote. So
Nice.
pull up the old character sheet. As I was
Yeah.
just saying, oh, I don't think we need to have the Roll20 screen in this game because we don't need to see the screen, but we do because we want to see the character sheet. You want to start with the trait vote? Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, I feel like there's nothing to take off, right? I feel like as we said when we were describing, when we just as you said, she's a dwarfy dwarf.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking at like the standard dwarf, accustomed to the dark, greed, oath swarm, shaped from earth and stone, stout, tough, oath swearer, sixth sense, which is not really dwarfy, but I think definitely is not something that we need to take off if she's used it. Deep sense, which he's definitely used, and dispute settler, which is, I think, something she gets for being probably a graybeard.
Yeah.
And
Longbeard. Yeah.
a longbeard. So I don't think we need to take any of those off.
No. And there's two character traits, bearded and folksy wisdom, but I feel like those are,
Oh yeah,
bearded is very, very important. They're both important to her. Yeah. So
yeah. Yeah, I mean, bearded might even be like something. I don't know, that might almost be like moving up to like a die trait vote.
Yeah, right. Well, it's the rings for each of her children, right?
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah.
the way that, like, I think, because she has a sixth sense, because she's so invested in her kids. I feel
Mm.
like I can almost see her getting like a twinge and then like, you know, Hertho's up to something, there's my rock, there's Bella. I don't know. I think she espouses a sort of connection to her kids through those braids and those rings, that help her feel connected to them even when she is far, far away. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
So we were looking at traits, and as usual, Judd had a really good idea for one that was not in the book, which I am a fan of. Judd, do you wanna introduce it?
Yeah. I think we should make a trait called Troll Friend, and it allows you to circle up trolls uh, from the wild and the like cavern settings.
Yeah, the cave dweller.
Yeah, the cave dweller setting. So like traditionally, because I know everyone here loves hearing the minutia of Burning Wheel rules.
That's what they come for, Judd. I
It's what
mean,
they're. It's what if you're not tuning in for that, I
people in
really don't
chat
know
right
why you're here.
now. They're
So
here for burning wheel minutia.
there are three settings of troll life paths, right? And burning up trolls is actually really fun. You can go back and forth between these settings pretty freely. But there's the wild setting, the cave dweller setting, and the pit setting. So we thought that this would allow Pelara to circle up a troll from either the wild setting or the cave dweller setting.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought that was fun. I thought that was kind of cool. It shows that she's been, really working with these folks for a year, and I don't know. I think it kind of shows a bond that I think is interesting.
I'm excited about it. I feel like Pelara got along much better with the brood mother than she was expecting, and then especially the like talking about the wheels and
Yeah.
spiritual things, and then also talking about family and their kids and their what they've seen of them, what they want, what they hope for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I feel like besides being stuck in a vault and away from her home, Pelara has a kind of idyllic life. She works all day, mining, excavating, and then she like spends the evening in the library of the vault, like musing with the Dragon Venera, the elf Fiona Cecile, and perhaps even the brood mother. Like these are very interesting characters to spend your evenings with. Looking at books and sharing ideas with them. So
definitely love it. So yeah, Troll Friend was one, and then you sent me a bunch of others.
Oh yeah, because like I do, I just went through the book because this is just my process, right? I just went through the book and I basically like threw everything that I thought looked like possible into the list. I'll throw that in chat. Oh, chat murdered it. Chat, I put it in Twitch chat, but it did not treat it nicely.
Yeah, I can still see it.
But yeah, so I think the ones that really stood out, like of the die traits, Bookworm doesn't. I kind of liked it, but I don't think it's earned through play. It doesn't feel like it's like it's like I can envision a place where she might go. This might be a direction. And on the other end of it, like Hands of Iron feels like it's the other direction. Like if maybe she was like spending all the time with the rock and brawling with trolls and whatnot, that like she comes out of this and her hands are just these tough as iron things. I feel like she could go in either one of those, but the ones that really stood out to me were Aches and Pains and Homesick. Homesick in particular, that's the one where I was like, I feel like this is a truth about Pelara. Those are both character traits, but I mean that's
I think Homesick makes a lot of sense. And why Aches and Pains? Just because she's working so hard?
Yeah, I feel like, and this is purely a Sean reflection, but Pelara was. It had been a long time since Pelara was an excavator, right? She had been a Longbeard for a few decades, and then a brewer for a few decades, and I think she had gotten used to a slightly more slightly more sedentary life. And then she was called out effectively out of retirement, or not out of retirement per se, but called out from this easier job to do this very backbreaking hard work. And I just imagine getting back into it now, especially after years, she's got aches. And it's purely because me as an old man has aches and pains that I relate to characters that are just like, my back, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm down with it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's a nice touch.
Cool. Awesome. All right. So then I think I don't think we need to overly ritualize it. I feel like what we both agreed on was we're gonna add a die trait called Troll Friend and 2 character traits, Aches and Pains and Homesick.
Okay.
Does that sound good? Unless any of the other ones I mentioned be like, yeah, that sounds great. But I looked at them and I'm like, they make sense, but I don't think they're quite trait worthy yet. Like,
Yeah, I don't think they're there yet, but I think Aches and Pains and Homesick are really good. I feel like there's something in Bearded that I'd love to make it a die trait somehow.
yeah,
I'm not exactly sure how. So let's just leave it. And if we get to another trait vote, then maybe we'll look back on that and see.
yeah. I think maybe it would help with circles rolls.
I was thinking I was thinking of something about gaining a die when you're in a conflict about your kids, but that feels really powerful. Like that feels like a broken trait a little bit. So I rather than break the game, I would rather sit on it and say like, let's think on it for a little bit.
That sounds good.
Yeah. And just like change it to like 3 braided beard, you know, but I think we'll just keep it bearded and then we'll figure it out.
Cool. So the next thing that I'm going to do is put in all that practice time. I probably should have done this beforehand, but
nope. I'm happy to do this here. This is good.
Yeah, this is fun stuff. Let me pull up Polara practice time. I don't think I could share. Unfortunately, I don't think I have it in a place where I can share the spreadsheet with folks, but you can imagine. There's a spreadsheet. So what happens in a year of studying and training and reading and whatnot is that, let's pull it up here. Nope, wrong click. Is that Polara unlocks a few abilities. She trains them, she practices them enough to gain them. So the ones that she gets are Dragon Wise. Very, very germane at B3. That's half her perception. She gets Troll Wise. Would you like me to make that cave wild troll, like because with Dwarf Wises they're broken up by life path settings.
I'm happy for it to just be Troll Wise. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
All right. She opens up Stentorious Debate, which is the dwarf version of haggling, oratory, and debate all kind of rolled up into one.
Right.
It's a check a little box. It's a special dwarf skill. It's an open-ended skill, and she gains foreign language skill, which allows her to speak with the dwarves, which is pretty exciting. And that's a B3 as well. So, and then there's a few skills that she doesn't finish, but she does get practice on. So we're going to add in the being learned.
And I think what we just want to make sure we do once we're done kind of checking off the paperwork is like talk about it and like paint a picture of what her days looked like during this year. Absolutely. So that we kind of have an idea of what that looked like. And I feel like that's a a big danger in, I mean, I see it in Blades too. I see it in myself and in ourselves in Blades, in that you can get so into the paperworky,
Uh-huh.
checky stuff of the mechanics that you forget to like take a step back and be like, okay, what does this look like? Because it's not just, you know, the scoundrel's life does not often, like sometimes it does, but it doesn't really look like paperwork. So let's talk
Right.
about what.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very, very good point. And I am kind of going through and doing the paperwork side of it right now, but I absolutely would, yeah, I want to talk through it. So, and then she gives a few tests in excavation and brawling, and I think that covers it. Excellent. So yeah, so what are these skills? So there's, in my mind, they're kind of like her days and her nights, right? So her days are spent practicing Stentorius because she had course persuasion, which would help, you know, connect on a one-on-one group, on a one-on-one basis. But I think Stentorius debate is the oratory equivalent where she, of her, you know, managing. She's used to managing a work crew, but this is managing an unwilling work, or you know, a new work crew. She kind of has to whip into shape. She has to turn them into proper dwarven troll miners, you know.
Yeah,
And I think the broodmother sort of articulated that trolls don't usually come in groups, right? That they don't normally work together. So for her, it's a lot of barking orders and trying to get them to sort of work in her fashion. But I think it's also a matter of like learning their culture and learning what works for them, and like realizing when, you know, the barking order isn't going to be effective, and like when she needs to find out what's going on, like why
yeah,
these two trolls are fighting, etc.
yeah.
So there's that. When that fails, there's a few more fist fights that I imagine that break out, thus some brawling training.
Yeah, and I
And
think
no,
go
go
on,
on.
go on.
Sorry.
So I think like the first 6 months, it's like that. It's like you trying to treat these trolls like they're dwarves, right?
Yeah.
And then the brood mother says, like, I've got an idea. And what she does is she starts rotating people out so that like so you've got about 20 trolls. You've got the brood mother, she doesn't count. And then you've got the 5 pit trolls who you won through a hard battle. You know, whose respect you won through a hard battle. And then you've got 5 wild trolls who like live out in the surface in some valley somewhere, in some, you know, series of valleys and on the mountains and all kind, you know, and you know, in out in the edges of civilization. And then you've got 10 cave dwellers who make a living, who live down here. And what she does is she rotates about 2 out every month, and then when it be like after that month is over, Fiona Cecile and a couple of cave dwellers go out and find them and then bring those 2 back, and then she rotates 2 more out. And that way, like when they start to get antsy and they start to get on each other's nerves, she just says, you know, go take a break.
Yeah.
And other than that, they're kind of tireless. Like I think they're very much like the dwarves in that they, you know, they, if you had humans, you'd be dealing with a union and weekends and all kinds of, you know, stuff that I don't think is nonsense, but is you know, to a dwarf would probably not be so great. But I think dwarves and trolls are made of earth, right? They're not human, and they will just work, and it won't be an unhealthy thing for them.
Yeah.
So I think in that respect it works, but I think like the brood mother's take on it is let's get 2 people out of here, and
Right.
Fiona Cecile, you know, once a month heads out on like a hunt to go bring them back alive, and I think the you know, the trolls are kind of terrified of him, and so they come back.
As they should be. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to make sure my chat is working. Will you type something into chat? I'm sending stuff. I haven't seen anything, but that could just be because we're captivated.
into the actual Play Twitch chat.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep, there it is.
Got it. Good. Yeah, I like that a lot. I
Cool.
think I think I imagine that's where we start realizing where some of the, you know, rivalries, like the people that, you know, the trolls that are need the most help to work together versus ones that are more copacetic, and yeah, and just give them a chance to sort of blow off steam.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh, and dig it. And yeah, so that's, and then the last part of that, which I think is sort of happening in the background, is excavation, right? I mean, they're just
Right.
doing it all the time. So she's practicing it because, and I think a lot of that looks like, you know, Bina and Polara and the Broodmother, and maybe a handful of other trolls that are going around and exploring and taking sort of preliminary small excavations, and then once they find something, um, uh, getting the whole work crew in there to tear it open. And yeah, I imagine there's been lots of, I imagine there's been a few small finds, a few bits of ore or gem or low quality gemstone things. There's
Right.
but yeah, we've been working on that. And then at night, once the work shift is over, I think it's a very different story for Polara. I think she has this incredible vault, literally a library.
Yeah.
Nice play from the librarian.
Yes. Not the first time I've used the name vault in as a name for a dwarven library that's squatted in by a dragon.
Nice.
I've done it. I did it before, and I loved it, so I've used it again.
Nice.
I have no shame.
Nor should you. I mean, it's a great name. So yeah, so in the vault, there is so much history that I think Polara is going to try and absorb, because she doesn't know. Well, at first I think it's idle curiosity, and it becomes more driven and purpose driven when she hears word, and we'll get to that in her beliefs in a second. But when she hears word that that somebody might be trying to come to save her, and so she is really trying to find out why the dragon was put in the vault in the first place, why dragons are so antithetical to dwarves, elves, and men. Because Venera has not treated her poorly at all.
Right.
So she has a new belief. Pull this back up. She has a couple new beliefs and a couple new instincts. Figuring time had passed, and these things have passed. One of her instincts is always spend my evenings reading in the library of the vault. Another one is whenever she's in a good mood, strike up a conversation with Venera. And the third new instinct is, when excavating for the dragon, never digging a path to the surface.
Right.
Which I think is an important one.
Yeah.
And then the new belief that's very important is word travels slowly through stone, but eventually it makes its way. I won't let Bella die trying to save me. And I think what happened is, the dwarves of Wheelholt, eventually the story of Bella going off was picked up by the dwarves of the Iron God, and the dwarves of the Iron God eventually shared it with the pit trolls, and the pit trolls eventually shared it with the cave trolls, and the cave trolls eventually brought it back to Polara. So it was there's not a communication method,
right?
But it's sort of, as we described it, the vault doesn't have a dragon-sized hole, but it does have people-sized holes. There are trolls and dwarves, or this dwarf, they can come in and out of it. And so I think when she got word that Bella was off to do something, she sort of doubled down her efforts to try and figure out if it's possible to live, if it's possible to free the dragon and not have her reign terror on the world. And that's not a thing that you can just like ask. So, what if? So I think she's trying to get to know her and get to know what her desires are besides just wealth, or if her desire for wealth is so insatiable that alone makes her an impossible threat to all of the people on the surface.
Right. Awesome. So what skills do you pick up?
I pick up Dragon Wise, Troll Wise, and then I get some and foreign languages. Those are skills. So those are skills I have, and then the ones that I don't pick up but I'm working on are ancient history and research, and I get two checks on those. So a good haul as the way skills go.
Yeah.
If folks are interested, if you look on page 47 of the Burning Wheel tome, it gives you the practice times, and so martial and social skills like foreign languages and brawling are and even Centaurus debate are very easy to pick up. They're only a 1 month cycle, so if you've got a year, it's plenty of time to practice those. But academic skills are 6 month cycles, so the most I could get on those was 2 checks. And craftsman skills like excavation are a 1 year cycle, so I was only able to get, despite doing it the entire time, it's only one check there. So
nice.
Yeah, and I like that. I like that academic skills, are much slower to learn than social ones. So
love it. Love it. Cool. Yeah, I think you are, in your cottage doing some reading, and
there's a big stack of books that have been moved up from the vault, like her current reading. It's like 8 or 9 different tomes.
And it's evening, and you see something moving across the grove that is your, oubliette, the oubliette grove, and that Fiona Cecile is out, getting a troll, and he should be back in any day now. But you see something moving across the grove, and the reason you see it is because its eyes pick up some kind of light, and they burn like coal. And so like you see these eyes in the undergrowth, as something is prowling around out there.
Yeah. And I think, a year ago in this space, Polara was sort of, this would have been terrifying for her. This is not a space that she felt was safe. But at this point, she's been there long enough. It still doesn't feel like home, but it doesn't feel like it's a place that she's under a constant threat. Right. So I think she's got, some, what does she drink late at night? I think she's got maybe some strong tea that's made out of the herbs that grow in the grove.
Yeah.
And
maybe some mushrooms.
Yeah, exactly. A little mushroom herb tea, and not hot leaf water, as Uncle Ira would say.
Yes.
So she like goes to the kettle and like pours another mug of it, and drops in a bit of like vanilla root to give it a little sweetness, and walks out to hey, Thunderchild, thank you, I appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying this wheel burning here. And she comes out with a mug of tea off the kettle, and comes to greet whoever's out there.
Yeah. Cool. I did not expect that. I thought you would be a lot more martial in your response. And I think like you come out to greet who's out there, and I think who's out there is Fiona Cecile. And his eyes are picking up light and reflecting them in a way that they had not before. And I think you have trouble seeing it, but you know the audience sees it in that his face is changing. Like it just his skin is becoming far more white, and it's gone from like a pale elf white to like a bone white,
Uh,
and I think his eyes are going from like violet to like the eyes of a lynx cat.
huh. Yeah, I think
And whether or not you notice that or how much you notice it is totally up to you. I'm not gonna. There's no
yeah,
perception roll.
I think Polara was expecting this was a troll, right?
Yeah,
She and like and I think every once in a while the trolls do sort of make it up to her oubliette, her grove, and they don't generally have much interest because they get worked pretty hard all they work pretty hard, and like I don't think many of them read, and usually when she visits with the brood mother it's down in the vault proper. So it's not um unheard of, but it's pretty rare for them to come up. And so she was going to kind of invite them, and I think she starts a bit when she realizes it's Fiona,
yeah,
because she thought this was a creature of the underground, one of the trolls made of earth and stone like her, and it's like um and I don't know if he might catch it that she like a little of the tea like spills over the cup and burns her hand.
yeah.
Not burns her hand, but it stings, right? And she says, "Oh, Fiona, I didn't expect you back this soon.
Did I startle you?
Oh, just nothing. No." And she lies poorly. "No, I'm fine. It's fine." And she says, "I would you like some tea?" And she holds it out.
Um, yeah, and I think uh, I mean I think he probably helped teach you how to make this tea, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he sniffs it and he says, "No, I something's going on with my stomach lately. I don't know what it is, but I do not want the tea. No, thank you."
Are you poorly?
Something about this life does not agree with me. Yes.
Hmm. Do you need to spend more time up top? And she starts walking back to her cottage, like
Yeah,
assuming.
and I think he no, no, I do not. And I think there's a tree that he uses. There's like a dead tree that he uses as javelin like practice, and like he
Yeah.
takes his javelins off of his back and like cradles them like across one arm and just like just you know
Is there any target practice?
he's just now he's not even doing target practice. He's just like putting them away, right? He's just like putting them in the stump so that he can like not bring them in the house and deal with them later.
Right.
And he like he throws the javelin like 4 or 5 javelins into the stump and says, "I'll I'll be in my I'll be on my side of the grove. If you need anything, let me know. How go your studies?"
Good. I still don't quite know all of the politics behind why ancient King Devanar uh, uh, decreed war on Venera, but some of the pieces are coming together. It does seem like you're. What's the Etharic's relationship to him? Sister, older sister.
Older sister, yes.
Yeah, it does seem like your sister and he agreed. I'm sure I'm reading this ancient history. You were probably alive then, but to me, this is, you know,
Yeah.
anything over 1,000 years ago was it's meant multiple generations for me. Or just
This is ancient King Devanar.
yeah. Sorry, I just made that up. Yeah.
No, I love it. He says, well, I don't do you want to learn through the books or do you want me to tell you? I'm not sure what you're doing here.
It Not that I don't enjoy my nighttime reads alone, but I would welcome company. I've made some good friends amongst the trolls, but they don't often want to speak about history. Why don't you come into my um, why don't you come into my cottage instead?
Yeah.
Perhaps I can give you a bit of just mountain water that will be more palatable to you.
Yeah. And he says, appreciate it. And he says, Devonar was the last of the sorcerer kings, and his knights were growing restless. He went to war so that to give the knights something to do other than overthrow him, kept them busy, and their honor forbade them from avoiding it. The church was the Church of the Wheel was slowly coming to its modern law, which says that those with sorcery cannot hold crown, title, nor own land. So he was fighting a lot of forces and needed an enemy, and that enemy came from that war.
I think her text has a different interpretation. Has a different
totally.
And I think her text described Devonar as sort of a George Washington character, where he gave
totally.
up power magnanimously, and that he was a great leader and a great sorcerer and a great everything, and that I think it's one half George Washington and one half Crusades. The dragon was a threat to all, dwarven kind, and et cetera, et cetera. And she says, she kind of looks at her books and she's like, yeah, and they're all clearly written in dwarven script, right? She says, yeah.
And Devonar was human, right? We're on the same page with that Devonar was human.
I was thinking, no, that's great. Yes, I was thinking dwarf, but I like it better if he's human.
Yeah, cool.
So, yeah,
cool.
Yeah. Yeah. She looks at the books and says, yeah, I know. This is, I think, showing her training in research, but not having trained it all the way. She's like, I suspected there were a few lines I needed to read between there that I didn't quite have the pieces together. I don't want to be too invasive about your family. You don't talk about your sister very often, but do you know why she would have possibly agreed? And she gets I think there's a tap where there's literally a mountain stream, very pure mountain stream water that comes through, and I think that she collects it in a keg and gets him a mug of it.
Yeah. He takes it and sips from it, and says, one of her children was one of the king's apprentices, so she wanted to see him well. So she agreed to the war to give it validity. She always had a soft spot for her children.
Polara sort of looks around their home / prison, and she's like, yeah, I've heard about her soft spots.
The Brood Mother tells me that they are ready to begin excavation on the next tunnel. She thinks it's a good one.
Yeah, we're hopeful. I got a sense about this.
She's hoping for. Yes. They're waiting for you to. They are doing some clearing away, but they are waiting for you to make the first real digs.
Yeah, we'll crack the vein tomorrow. It would be it would make and I think this is I think this is Polara trying to make sure that he stays engaged more than that this is actually true. I mean, I don't think this is not falsehood, but it's Polara's motivations are not completely straightforward. And she's like, it would make the trolls are used to knowing they're used to fearing you. It would do a good deal for their morale if they saw you down there with them. I know I brought you that first day and gave you a rucksack, and it hasn't really stuck. but I think if even if it's a ceremonial blow, if you could swing a pick alongside them tomorrow, that would do a lot towards making them feel that you are not just there to make them feel gain respect of them.
Maybe they should fear me.
Why are you so dark all the time, Fiona? I mean, besides your name, I know the story, but like,
something in my
this
heart
is probably like the 1,000th time she's asked him this, right? Like,
yeah. I think he says, I don't know how to explain it to you in a way that makes sense, Pilar.
You've seen a lot of terrible things. You've had to live through ages.
I have seen a lot of wondrous things, and I've seen them from a throne of ludicrous privilege, but that does not stop me from feeling what I feel. And I feel that being here is maturing it. I thought maybe it would make me feel better, but it is deepening those feelings.
Your grief knows no bounds. It is not held back.
I have not felt grief in centuries.
I think she knew this. I think he said that last session or before.
Yeah.
But like it kind of. Maybe it's
most elves feel grief.
Yeah.
I feel something else, and I don't. It is being in the tunnels has put that feeling in a cocoon, and it is growing into something else.
Maybe you need to spend more times under the stars after all. Maybe this wasn't the right choice for you. If you want to.
What you did is a selfless act. I wish to support it.
Very well. Well, then support it by coming down with me tomorrow.
That was surprisingly cunning. I will be there. You are a monster with a beard. I mean, I think he gets up and walks out.
I was totally gonna like say, hey, I want to make a course persuasion roll, but I think
I think you totally did it. Like I every once in a while, like the role playing is so good that I think a roll isn't necessary, and I think you really checkmated him on that, and that was good. I don't normally like oh, the role play was so good we didn't have to go to the dice, but yeah, I feel like a roll of the dice at that point would be superfluous at that. So let's just leave it.
Nice. I love it. I'm for it.
My cat is up on something she shouldn't be. Hold on one second.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I think oh, you're a monster. Why are you such a beast? Why are you so full of spite like Fiona Cecile? Why?
How can you not feel grief? How can you?
Why do you feel no grief? You feel nothing but spite and greed because you're a monster.
I've seen some very good fueled by spite stickers floating around on Twitter, and I want to get one for Fiona and for Peppercat.
Nice. She is actually just the most loving cat I've ever met. So yeah, I think we've got excavation the next day.
Yeah.
I think when you get down there, things are underway, and yeah, they're like ready to clear this tunnel, and like making a deep tunnel shaft is an obstacle 8 excavation roll. And if you heard on the mic, my cat is right back where she was. just exactly right back. I don't know if you heard that, but she went right back to where she was
I
before.
love it. It's like
Uh,
flies, right? You got a fly that's hovering over something. You wave it away. It goes away. 2 seconds later, it's right back again.
she's
You take your cat, set her down. She's right back.
there's a box and she's trying to see if she can get inside it. It's just an ugly thing. The trolls are digging and they've got this deep shaft ready to go.
All right.
And is that what you said, like a deep shaft or a deep?
Yeah, I mean that sounds. I mean, I think that the goal here was a shaft that was going to lead into a big, a big find, right? And I
Yeah.
think, I don't think excavation covers that per se, but let's see, trench or pit, small foundation, shallow mine, or hurried tunnel, moderate foundation, mine shaft, canal or moat, large foundation, deep mine shaft. Yeah, no, that feels right.
Cool. So I'm gonna up the ante here. I'm gonna say ob 8, like you dig a deep shaft and it's got precious gems and iron and tin and good stuff.
Yeah.
If you hit obstacle 10, then you hit a vein of gold. And if you hit obstacle 12, you hit a vein of mithril.
What?
But if you miss this, then you delve too deep, and there will be fell consequences as something bubbles up out
Yeah,
in the time to come.
I love it. Well, I no longer have the instinct to always make sure that there is, it's well ventilated, but I do think that is part of Polara's, there's a lot of checks that she's doing, and there's a lot of understanding that you can tap into dangerous veins and lava can pour out and, gases can come out and creatures can come out. And so I think that there's been a few preemptive small drillings, right? And a few things that were like, okay, it looks like, there was no volatile gas, at least not right there. It could be around there. So I think there's been a lot of testing for gas pockets. I think there has been a lot of kind of checking the nearby tunnels and sort of mapping out where we think this might hit. And I think that's probably it. And that is all to justify why I'm going to say that this is being done carefully and why I'm using tunnel wise and gas pocket wise and observation as forks, if that sounds good to you.
That sounds good.
All right. So,
and I think like Broodmother has opened up excavation, so she gives you a bonus die.
Awesome. She's not the legendary Delver, but I will take it. Okay.
Far from that.
I'm going to. Now the question is, I still am far away from being able to hit ob 8, so I think this makes sense.
Greed.
Yeah, it feels right.
Yeah.
I only need one more difficult and one more challenging test to raise greed. So here we go with a difficult one. And I'm gonna add 5 dice.
Oh shit.
I mean,
yeah.
That's what happens. I'm gonna spend 1 persona. Here, let's pull this up for everybody to see.
Sounds good. Why are you such a monster? Why are you such a terrible monster?
Marked a difficult greed test, so I'm 1. So here's the thing: is I'm now 1 I'm one challenging test away, but the way greed works is if I need a challenging test and I make a difficult one, it just rolls up to it. Like normally
Oh,
that never works, but with
yeah,
greed and grief and those others, it's basically I'm one more test away.
yeah. To going up from what to what?
From 5 to 6.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, here we go. Okay. And we're gonna mark that we spent. I've definitely spent more. I don't know why that's not there, but I've definitely spent Persona on and Fate on Excavation. Okay. So Excavation, I have 3 forking dice from Gas Pocket, Tunnel, and Observation. I have
Yeah.
one helping die. I have one helping die, and I have one die from doing this carefully. And then I have 5. So I have 5 bonus dice and 5 Artha dice.
Wow. Wow.
Does that sound right? Is that
Where are the Arthur dice coming from? I'm not sure I understand what that means.
greed?
Oh, okay, from greed. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you meant like you spent 5 Persona 5 separate times. No, okay.
No.
You spent Persona and you got the greed. Got it.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I love the idea that, like, I don't know, that you tap into this supernatural productive thing.
Yeah, because I mean, if we think about what Polara covets, what she cares about, its status, its power, and like all those things are pinned on this, right?
Yeah.
Like this is the opportunity. I think Venera, I think word has gotten to Venera. Like I think that there is a lot riding on. It's not like this could fail and we'd be like, okay, it's fine. There's nothing to it. Just go back tomorrow. I think that this is, even though she was fairly calm yesterday, I think today she sees, Fiona sees her like sweating, and it's not from work. It's not from labor. It's from, it's hot and she's been working hard, but she definitely has a concern.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I'm rolling a whole bunch of dice. Thank you, Dwarven Greed.
Here we go.
There it is.
Oh, wow.
All right. So that's good. I am going to spend a fate. It already
fixes.
I can't. It's a excavation is a special dwarving skill, so it's already open.
So shoot.
But that means I can spend a fate to reroll a failed die.
To reroll one or reroll all of them?
Just one.
Just one. Okay.
Yeah, and I can only do it once. Yes. Okay. It's not mithril, but it is gold.
Yeah. Love it.
Nice. Sorry, I was halfway tempted to fail that roll. Like it would have been cool to fail that roll as well because I would have loved to see what came out of it, but I'm very glad to get the.
Yeah, and I think that the thing that you see that you missed, that you didn't. There was a shaft that went down off of this that you end up just kind of avoiding, and one of the cave, the cave haunts, crawls down into it, and when he comes back up, he comes back covered in spider webs, and he says, and I think it's the first time you see a troll look a little scared, and he says, "Do not go in there. This tunnel should be left alone. Take the gold that we have, but just do not delve into this."
Nice.
And I think the Broodmother makes like the sign of the wheel, and the sign of the 6th wheel, which is like a little different. I think everybody kind of makes a warding sign, and there is only 20 of you, so it's not like you need to like put a sign up, but
right. but
Yeah.
I think a little bit of Polara's greed. I want to sort of roll through this. And they say don't go in there, but nevertheless, she's there with like a lantern, like looking down into it.
Oh shit.
Right?
Nice.
Like I don't think she like takes the advice without at least kind of looking down that shaft for herself. And like there's a part of her that's like mental note, you know, think see about what to do about giant spiders in the future, right? She's not going to go get herself eaten by a spider right now, but she's definitely not quite ready to just give up on it.
Oh, interesting. Cool.
So
Love it. Love it.
I feel like that greed has to like come forward a little bit. And
Oh,
then,
totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, shit, maybe you even have to make a, you know what? Uh,
you want to
I want a steel
make
test.
a steel
I want a
test.
steel test. Yeah.
I needs it. I must haves it.
Yeah. I think this is, you've got gold, but like,
What? What?
there's more in here, right?
Yeah. I love it. I think that's great. I think it's a great way. Even even when you succeed, you have that much greed that. Any modifiers to it?
Um, I have no idea.
There's a fair number of them, so we should probably look because.
Because the greed steel test is a little different. I feel like. Right? The I must have it roll.
It's a. I think by default it mechanically works the same way. You just make a steel test, but which is page 363. Everybody in chat, I know you love watching us look up rules. It's even better on the podcast, I imagine. I imagine everybody listening to us look up rules.
This is such good listening. This is such good podcasting.
He's loving it.
At least you don't have like a decade of podcast experience, like right here on the show. Like,
right? No, we don't have that.
We don't have that.
All right. She's magnificent. This is page 122. Greed makes stores vulnerable to a form of wonderment. Whenever they see something awe-inspiring, an ancient artifact, a hoard of gold, a beautifully crafted haul, the GM or the player himself or herself can call for, or their self, or whatever pronoun self, can call for a steel test. If the greed exponent is higher than the character's hesitation, use that as the obstacle. Ooh, that's interesting. If your greed exponent is higher than your hesitation, use that as the obstacle. Okay, that is. My hesitation is 4, my greed is 5. So the opposite
Gotcha.
5 is 4.
Okay.
If the test is passed, there is no adverse reaction. The character maintains its composure and retains as well. If She's Magnificent test is failed, the player must choose one of 2 reactions, either stand and drool or invoke the I must have it rule. I must have it. This new reaction allows the character to go for it. He must attempt to purchase, steal, barter, or kill for the object, person, or place in question. In either case, whether he stands, drools, or goes for it, the object of the failed steel test becomes the focus of his attention, always lingering somewhere in the back of his mind, nagging at him. So if I fail this test, even if I don't go for it, even if I just sort of stand there and drool until the broodmother picks me up, it is nagging at me.
If the character has a belief or oath that directly contradicts the situation in which a greed-induced steel test is called for, hesitation for the greed or steel test is reduced by 1. So that's interesting. I don't think it does, but that's just something to keep in mind.
No, because I have an oath to find these great.
Oh treasures. Yeah. If anything, it's worse. Yeah. Yeah. Make an OB5 steel test. You're looking at some ancient, deep vein that needs to be. Something needs to happen.
Yeah, my steel is 7. Steel is open-ended, so it's possible, but we'll just see what happens here.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot of holy shit. You rolled well.
Yeah, I did. I got 2 6s, and because steel's open-ended, it just auto rolled them for me.
Nice. So yeah, you how do you hold that together? What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think I go down there and I go to the opening of the mouth, and I think that it's really, really common for excavators to find passages that they deem unsafe, and they mark
Yeah.
them. And
Yeah.
even though, like you said, there's only 20 of us, it doesn't stop Polara's kind of nature of like doing things right by her standard. And so I think she goes down to that passage, and she's got a stone engraver, right? She's got a tool that like is really good at cutting into stone to make marks. And it's like, like people, like there's the hobo code and there's like various kind of symbols, right? And she's going to mark some runes there that indicate, unsafe passage. So that, any dwarf coming by here would know. But I think when she's doing it, she's got the lantern and she looks down, and I just imagine something like glints, and I don't know whether it's eyes or gold.
Yeah.
It is. Something glints, and it gets her attention, and she's sort of staring at it. And then I think if it's okay with you, I'm going to say that like she hears Fiona talking up above, where she's asked him to to participate, and that's what kind of like, it's like the connection with another person that kind of draws her out of it. And she's like, no. And she finishes the etching that says, don't go here.
Yeah.
And does the same sign of the wheel that sort of all the trolls were doing. I think there's still a little bit there, but she's able to keep it under taps. Wow. Yeah, I was expecting to fail that one. My roll 20 dice are on fire.
Cool.
So I think there's gold, and once that tunnel is marked and we break up in the vein, I kind of go in to appraise it, and I want to bring the brood mother and Fiona in with me to like see. I mean, I don't think it's gold veins aren't like a cavity, right? So it's not going to be something where it's like you could just witness it all. But I think that there is a way where we can crack open something and see like a big vein of it, and get the sense that this is a big find.
Yeah.
And I sort of turn to Fiona and I say, we could make a lot of fine tableware, a lot of very nice jewelry out of this vein.
I think he, you're like in your element, your eyes are glinting.
Yeah.
But I think he's bored out of his goddamn skull.
Yeah, of course.
And he says, that's great. I'm happy for you. What did you see in the webbed?
Yeah, I think she like picks a little bit of webbing off of her helm, of her spelunking hat, and says something's in there. There was a glint down the way. Could have been more riches. Could have been the eyes of a great spider, or many. It was dusty and filled with cobwebs. I don't think, as long as we don't go down there, I don't think it's coming out.
I don't think you'll have a problem.
Why is that?
The trolls were terrified of it. That's why.
That's smart. She says with like definite, like, there's a part of her that's like, yeah, it's smart to be scared of it. I probably should be as well, right? Because I'm sure that you have songs about spiders' webs. How easy they are to get trapped in them.
Let's stay out of that one.
Do I sense a bit of fear from my from you as well, Fiona? Or just good caution?
Caution.
Of course. Well, you're here, so you might as well help with this. And I mean,
Right.
it's this thing where it's like I feel like it's it doesn't matter whether he's actually doing it or not. Like she just wants to see him like carry a nugget, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hold this, I'll make you something beautiful out of it. She's not a crafter, but you know, I think she could still. She's been around enough of them that she's confident she could still cast something.
Sounds good. I think when you get back to the vault that night, a good, I think you've probably been in the tunnels for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And you get back to the vault, and you can tell right away when you walk in, like there are other people here, like someone else, and the dragon, Verena is, or Venera is like on her perch that you remember her getting on when you first visited, and she's like on that perch again. It's like, how she holds court.
Mm-hmm.
And
is there an opportunity for us to like hold up and listen in on the conversation before we kind of
yeah.
I think I put my hand out and because this is weird, this is new. I mean, besides some trolls, we really don't see anybody coming into the vault.
And you hear an orc introducing himself. And he says, I am he who cleaves the heads of his enemies from their shoulders and sets them on stakes for all to see. I have not earned my name yet, but I will. And one of my first true tasks in that line is a gift for you, Mother Dragon. And Venera like looks distrustful. She says, "What gift?" I think they like open a sack, and a dwarf falls to the ground. And I think you knew him. Like this was a guy in the original Vault work crew. Someone we probably saw in the background, a delver. His name is Gaffy.
What was the orc's full name? He who
cleaves the heads of his enemies from their shoulders and sets them upon stakes for all to see, also known as the Head Taker. Yeah, and I think Head Taker says, and I think Venera says, "Well, why would you bring me a dwarf?" And Head Taker like smiles this kind of monstrous smile and says, "I heard you collected them."
I think that's when Gaffy is Gaffe.
Yeah.
I think that's when Polara steps out. And she's all covered in soot, and she's blackened by all the dust, and she has like a giant honk of freaking gold in her hand that it doesn't represent a significant amount of the haul, but it's just like a big nice piece. Like it's like a big meaty piece of gold. And although gold is a soft metal, you could cave somebody's head in with it if you needed to. Right? And she walks out and she sort of like pushes the soot out of her eyes, and she says, dwarves that come and swear an oath and swear an oath to serve have stayed here. Other dwarves have other mountains that they live in. as a way of saying like, and she says it in, her best orc tongue as known through learning from trolls, because she has 4 languages now.
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
In her best black tongue,
yeah.
I'm not sure if that's, yeah.
No, no, I'm down with it. Let's make a roll.
Yeah.
And I think if you fail, that you and the head taker are gonna tussle.
Yeah. So I want to
Um,
make a course persuasion roll of essentially like, and it's not really against the head taker. It's against it's against Venera.
yeah,
It's to win over Venera, that like she doesn't need him. Like some random dwarf that he collects is not a boon to her.
right.
And yeah.
Cool.
So, but I do think we should make it. I don't know if we make it like as a versus or.
I think it's just gonna be against her per her will.
Okay.
I think it's a gray 6, so I think we're looking at an obstacle 8.
Great.
And I think if you fail, then the dragon wants to keep him.
Okay. Well, I'm rolling course persuasion. I think I'm going to throw in oathwise, because the dragon knows that the reason why I serve her is because of an oath, not because I was captured.
Right.
I think I'm going to throw in clan wise, because I know this Gaffy is part of the clan, and I know that, and I know him, and I could tell her that, he is, basically I know he's not me. He's not an exceptional, I don't want to, besmirch him, but I know that he's not going to substantively add to the work crew. And I think that's. Oh, and I want to throw in Dragon Wise, because I know what dragons care about now.
Yep.
Okay, there we go. Since I got it. Okay. Course Persuasion, 3 bonus dice.
Yep. So I think you notice one thing as you start to talk, and that is Gaffy has a lock of hair in his belt, and it is Bella's hair. And you know that means that they're courting each other.
Got it. I think, I think I see that, and I sort of, I'm going to spend a persona because of that. Not invoking greed, just spending persona normally.
Yep. To get him out of here.
Yeah, to get him out of here, to get him back to Bella. Okay, I had 3 bonus dice. 1 Eartha. 8. Not even close. Wow. I'm gonna spend.
Yeah, I think the. Oh, you're gonna spend what?
I'm gonna spend. It's not gonna work, but I'm gonna spend a fate to reroll one of those. It's an open-ended skill, so I'm gonna spend a fate to reroll one of those. All right. Well, that got me 1 more. That's 3 of 8 successes.
Yeah. I think the orcs look like who's in charge here, right? They're just like, they look to the dragon like, what now? Like, she's mouthing off. Yeah. And Venera says, and I think like in a stern voice that like shakes the vault a little bit, and says, I will say who stays and who goes in my home. This one stays. He will help you. He is of your clan. You all trespassed. I will wring an oath from him later if I wish to. I don't think he'll make an oath breaker of you. Thank you, head taker. Thank you, he who cleaves the heads of his enemies from their shoulders and sets them upon stakes for all to see. May you gain your name in good time. Come back anytime you wish, whenever you have a gift. And he says, well, that is the problem, great dragon. We had a mask, a dwarven make. We obtained this trespasser when he was burgling our tunnels, the Orconts, and his companions. They stole the mask. We believe the mask would allow someone to survive Dragonfire if it was on the proper armor. We thought you should know immediately. And I think the dragon nods and says, thank you, head taker. That is good information to have. And I think she like picks up she like puts her claw out and like goes to take the gold that you have, the gold nugget you have in your hand.
Yeah.
And like plucks it out unless you want some kind of a fort roll to.
No, I mean, there's a little resistance at first, but like Bina Palara is frustrated in the situation, but she's not.
Yeah.
Not gonna fight.
Yeah. She takes it out of your hand, like in between her claws. It's like a little pebble, and she like skips it like a stone at the collective orcs' feet. And she says, "For your trouble." And the head taker like looks at it and like kind of gestures towards it, and one of his goblins comes and like gathers it and puts it in a sack, the same dirty sack Gaffy was in.
Yeah.
And he says, thank you, Dragon Mother. We will be back when we have more to tell you. And they make their way out. And I think the head taker like kind of glares at you as they leave.
Oh yeah, I definitely glare right the heck back. I'm watching him until he's gone. And yeah, I think one of the things Palara was trying to figure out was how Venera would interact with other dwarves, how things would happen, and this was telling, right? She's like, "Oh, I'll just take what I want," and Palara walks over to Gaffy and starts like, I imagine he's like tied up or something, and she starts like cutting his bonds.
Yeah. He's bruised. He's pretty beaten up. I think he's got some broken fingers and maybe like a dislocated shoulder.
And Palara looks up to where Venera's holding court and says he'll need some time to recover from what those orcs did to him.
Of course, we have time.
Oh, I think she starts like helping Gaffy like up to her oubliette to like help him get there to and like kind of over her shoulder she just says, "Oh, we hit like she definitely knows that like we've been looking like we've been close to something big, but this is still big. This should have been like a rejoiceful like good news, but instead it's sort of said as like in like this bitter frustration. There's more where that came from. We hit a huge vein today. Your spoils will be multiplied.
And once it is multiplied enough, your time here will be at an end.
That's the deal. And she then helps Gaffy up to to get his way. And I imagine that Fiona was with her when she came back up.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, he
think
was.
he saw all that.
Yeah, I think he like stayed back
Yeah.
and like yeah, I think when you find him, like he's at the ramp up to the oubliette, and his javelins are like leaned in different places so he could throw them if he needed to.
Nice.
And he goes around and collects them.
And she just sort of nods to him, like, you know, I'm glad you have those at the ready. Um, and uh, and yeah, I think the first thing is going to be to tend to Gaffy and to find out what the heck he was doing this close to the vault.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a bit, I think there's a bit of chastisement of like, what happened, and are you trying to make my daughter, shave her beard because she's lost her betrothed, right? What are you doing getting caught, right? She's
Yeah.
not happy about this situation at all.
Yeah. He says, I wasn't anywhere near the vault. I went with your daughter and Karbuki into the Orkhant. And I think the Orkhant is like a mountain that, there used to be 7 dwarven princes.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been 6 like for centuries and centuries. And now there are 5 because Vault has lost 2. But the Orkhant, like I think that family's name is just lost because like orcs erased them.
Mm.
So there's a mountain between here and Wheelholt called Orkhant, and yeah, I think he says we went into Orkhant and they had a forge mask. We got it, but well, I mean, I didn't get it. Your daughter and Karbuki got it. I didn't make it.
I have so many questions. The first is, why would you go into the Orkhant to recover a forge? I mean, it is an artifact of ours and it should be recovered, but I don't suspect that you did this because of an ancient grudge or an oath that you swore.
And I think like he knows enough about dragons to know that like anything he says can be overheard by the dragon, right? Which is definitely something you now know, and
yeah.
He like looks at you like, I'm not going to tell you why, like I can't say it here.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think lets you know why, right?
Yeah.
He says, your daughter was obsessed with it. I couldn't talk her out of it.
Well, luckily there's some salve here and some medicinal herbs. I'm no Courageon, but I can probably get you back up into working shape, and then you can join me in the mines. Until then, walk lightly.
This dragon has you working the mines on your own?
No, I have a crew.
What crew? Iron Gods?
And what kind of names do the trolls have? I forget that.
Yeah, they're like relearning their language, right? They're like relearning Trolloc, I think.
Yeah.
And it's a slow process because I think a lot of them they can't read. So
I think I'm doing translation for them. I think the part of my studies of ancient language is looking into Trolloc, which I only have because of this incredible library. And
right.
It's Trolloc as written by dwarves, so it's like it needs to be like I'm probably not getting the pronunciation right. It's like whenever you learn a language from text, there's a lot that's missing. But Um,
Yeah.
and I haven't trained ancient languages yet, but I'm working on it. So I imagine there's a lot of like, this is what I found. Does this sound familiar? And talking to the brood mother and trying to
Yeah, and it
help.
does. Like I think they're clearly like figuring out that they came from a culture that was decimated,
Yeah.
and they're just trying to figure out what happened. And they're doing like forensic research on their own people, and it's a hot mess and very difficult. And they also can't read. They've got you're helping. It's great. I think as of like they're kind of just giving each other nicknames, right?
Yeah.
There's the troll who you most of the time it's like stuff that they do. So
Right.
there was the pit troll uh, who you like spiked in the foot. So he's called Limper. There's one who's known as a Dreadstone, and so they call him Dread. There's an orc haunt. There's a cave haunt, like a dwarf hunter, who goes with Fiona Cecile on his hunting missions, and that one's called Silence. They just have like weird nicknames basically at this point because they just haven't uncovered their language yet.
Nice. Yeah, so I think she says, yeah, Limper, Dread, Silence, and the lot. They're my crew. I've been down here a little while. It's gonna take you some time to get used to it. Things are different.
Yeah, he hasn't seen you for a year. Is there something like he would notice about you that's like a lot different?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, how has Polara changed in the last year? I mean, I think that yeah, she's lost a lot of her, color. Any kind of she was a outdoorsy dwarf, right? She was a brewer, a nogger. She felt very at home in the earth, but you know she wasn't mining for a long time, and so she had a good tan, right? And and
Yeah,
and that's gone.
right.
Um, I think she probably looks a little bit more gaunt than she did before.
Yeah,
Um, to throw out a few other details about the new traits she has, there's definitely the the scratches in the wall. Um, Nah, I don't think it'd be scratches in the wall because she's not in such a prison where there's nothing else she could do. But there's a calendar that of sorts that of I think that a calendar would probably look like a skin with markings in it or something like that. That she's definitely been counting the time, and also like she sets him down and she's like, she complains about her back a little bit. I don't know if there's like one big thing like she's missing an eye, but I do
right,
think
right. No,
a lot of signs of her having not really been on the surface at all.
yeah, cool.
So I imagine there's some moment where like she needs to get up to get him something, and he's hurt because he's been all beat up, but she goes to get up and she's like, Gaffy, give me that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Sounds
Um,
good. Yeah, and I think Gaffy. Um, yeah, I think he's. I mean, would you be happy about Bella being courting someone born clansman?
I mean, she was born Klansman. I think there's a lot about that Polara, uh, in terms of social status, she would hope that she would find somebody in the guild or the host, right? So I
Right.
think I think that's had she her druthers, she would have had her marry up, um, but she's kind of reluctant to dig too deep into it because she knows that whatever Bella's up to, she kind of wants to wait until she gets Gaffy in the mines to ask him more.
Oh,
Um,
interesting. Cool.
but so yeah, I think that there is some like I there's definitely a time where she like looks down at Bella's lock and she says, "So do you want to tell me about that?" Um, you know, like knowing the dragon is there, but like, what can you say about just, your personal life? She's like, I didn't know
Right.
that. I thought Bella was a warden now. Surprised she has time to spend time with the clan.
That is not the path she walked.
That two timing, traitorous, backstabbing, silver,
No, no, he,
greedy, and she
your children got together and made a decision.
they, they don't get to do that.
Hirthor went to the warden.
Well, Hirtho Warden.
He's training with the host. And Bella has taken on other pursuits.
Yeah, she definitely remembers that he said that she was with the Kerbika, and that's
Yeah.
like a whole, that's a whole minefield she doesn't want to step into. While Venera can overhear. So
Yeah. I think I love the idea that like you all like have these really stilted, shitty conversations for weeks. And then finally, like you've got his fingers in splints and his shoulder is like good enough. And he can hold a pick and like help the trolls. And so he comes out and you get into the tunnels where the dragon can't hear. And like there are, trolls like banging away with picks to like add cover noise. And I think you like take him into a side tunnel and he says, are we safe here?
Yeah, it's
Make a dragon-wise roll, ob 1.
Oh yeah. I love it.
I think if you fail, like you miss something and like the dragon can totally hear you.
Nice. I love it. I want to fork it tunnel wise because I think
totally. It's totally.
Oh, by the way, that course persuasion test that I just failed, that was the challenging one I needed to raise course persuasion. So
awesome.
Bummer to lose it, but
love it.
But cool to. There we go. First routine Dragonwise test.
Sounds good.
Got it.
Yeah, he says Bella is putting together a kit to kill the dragon.
She says, and she's doing it with the adventurer Kerbika.
Yes. Meanwhile, our host is marching on the Iron Gods, and we are making war on them in the valleys and the hills.
What spurred that nonsense?
They attacked us here. They clearly treated with trolls and attacked us here. They were behind the attack that drove us into the vault.
Well, fair. But treating with trolls doesn't turn out to be as bad as what you might have thought.
Treating with trolls because how to honorable Delver, you misspeak about yourself. Treating with trolls because you have to, because you're dragon sworn, which you did under duress, which you did because you wanted to keep your family safe, is very different than treating with trolls because you want to backstab your bearded kin and cousin because they're a couple mountains over and you're greedy. Those are very different things.
You're right. I'm just saying the troll part of that equation isn't the troll aspect of that isn't the part of the equation that makes it dishonorable. It's the fact that they tried to trap us in this. Fair. I forget the name of the woman who was leading the Iron Gods. It might be here in chat. She was like, "You'll get yours." When I was
the
burning. Ba-ba-bum. See if we've got it. Warden Milana, leader of the Iron.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I said, Warden Milana, assuming, Warden Milana said she wasn't ready to give up. Perhaps warring with them is wise. Otherwise, they would just persist in their attacks anyway. And Hertho, he's serving
He is serving the warden. Yes.
the warden. I don't have to shave. I don't have to shave my beard just yet. But Kabika, that sword wielding adventurer of a dwarf. Sure, he's the one who convinced Bella. Nothing good comes of that boy. Well, that's not true. He did convince us to come in here and prevented the host from entering.
Cool. And I think let's take a break after this, if you don't mind.
No,
The brood mother comes and says, something's come out of the web tunnel. It wants to speak to you. And yeah, I think we'll end there.
Yeah, love it. Perfect. I love it. Jed, this is so good. Okay. All right. I have so many things I want to do, and that's a good situation to be in. I want to talk to the dragon. I want to talk to Fiona.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. Everybody, we'll be back in a few minutes.